Good morning, I'm Mrs. Ployce and I'm your Sunday school teacher. We are learning about Moses and Aaron and the children of Israel. And last time we heard how God took Moses up into a mountain called Mount Sinai, and the children of Israel, his people, gathered at the foot of the mountain while Moses was gone. The children of Israel promised to do everything that God asked of them. Moses' brother Aaron stayed with the group at the foot of the mountain, and Moses went up into the mountain to talk with God. When Moses came back, he told the Israelites everything that God had said, and last time we heard how God spoke the 10 Commandments to them. But that isn't all that God told Moses. God also told him about how his people were to worship him. Now, we worship in a church, and our church is maybe made of bricks or wood, and it's a building. It stays in one place. But the Israelites and Moses were traveling, so they needed a church that could easily be moved. And guess what? Their church was a tent, a very big tent. It was called the Tabernacle. And that means that God wanted to dwell with them. That means he wanted to stay with them. So this morning we're going to take a closer look at what the tabernacle, the tent church, was like. Now it had to be easily moved. So everything that was in the tabernacle could be set up and taken down and moved from place to place. And as I said, it was a tent. We're actually looking down. If we could see down into the tent, the walls of the tabernacle were not made of wood or bricks. They were made of cloth, like big curtains. And the people could go inside the outer part, this part here, which is called the courtyard. They could go inside that part to offer sacrifices at this altar, and you see a flame is burning. They would offer burnt offerings to God, and those sacrifices would show their love for God. The priests used this basin with water in it to wash their hands, especially after they had killed animals for the sacrifice. But you also see this part. That was very special. It was called the holy place, and only the priests could go into the holy place. So we're also going to see inside this part. If you could look inside the holy place, this is what you would see. It was very beautiful. You see the gold and purple colors? Those were special for God. Now, the holy place was divided into two parts. This first part is the part where the priest would go once a day, but back here, this part is called the Holy of Holies. The priest would go there, only the high priest, once a year. First, we're going to talk about this part. In this part, there was what is called the table of showbread, or the table of the presence. And you see these flat breads. They're kind of like maybe pita bread. There were 12 of them for the 12 tribes, the 12 groups of Israelites. And they were special for God. Only the priests could eat that bread. There's also what is called the altar of incense. It's hard to see here, but there's a little flame. And incense is something that it has a sweet smell. It's smoke that goes up and up and up. As that smoke would go up, it would remind the people of their prayers going up to heaven. There also was a beautiful candlestick, and it has 7 branches. I have read that this might have been 5 feet tall, almost as tall as I am, so it was very large. And it didn't have candles of wax, it had lamps, and there was oil in the lamps to burn. It was to be kept burning day and night. The priest made sure the flames would never go out. And this sign here of the candlestick was that God is present, and his light fills us always. This curtain was very special too. You see how it's purple and has beautiful angels on it? It separated the holy place from the most holy place. And in the most holy place, there was a special box. It's called the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of God. And you might think, Ark, what is that? Well, not a boat in this case. In this case, it was a special box, and it was covered with gold. On the top of the box There were angels of gold. And it had some special things inside of it. For one thing, the 10 Commandments, written on the tables of stone, the flat pieces of stone. It also had a jar of manna that never would spoil. The manna is this food that God gave the Israelites in the wilderness. And it had Aaron's rod, and he had done miracles with that rod or staff. Now, when the tabernacle was finished, God showed that he was present. The pillar of cloud, remember, that led the Israelites, went over the tabernacle, and it stayed over the tabernacle to show that God was there. And whenever they would stop somewhere, they would set up their tent, their church, the tabernacle, and the pillar of cloud would stay over it until it was time to move on. We don't have a church like this that can be moved, but we do have some things that are like this. We have candles in our church, and they remind us that God is the light of the world. We have an altar where our pastor turns and speaks to God for us. We also have bread, not this kind of bread, but flat bread that is part of our service when we have the Lord's Supper. And especially we know that God is always in our church. So when we go to church, we know that he's with us in a special way, and that's our time for worship. Now, our memory treasure is one that you should know because we often use it for a prayer at the table. At the end of your meal, maybe you say, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good." This is what the Israelites said. When the tabernacle was finished and God's presence was there, they said to God, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good." He had given them this beautiful place to worship, and we also have a beautiful church to worship the Lord as well.